All right. I didn't get a chance to see y'all, but hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. We're excited about another opportunity to go play, and we got a tough divisional opponent, and we're going to do everything we can to get ourselves ready to go play and win a game.
Did you get any injured players back today, or do you anticipate any coming back this week?
Yeah, I think we're probably right in the same category that we were to end the week last week. We could potentially, have some guys back. We'll have some guys back at practice, and we'll see how they go throughout the week.
Including IR guys could be back at practice this week.
Yeah, I don't know that I expect to see those guys.
But Ramczyk is kind of a maybe.
Yeah, we'll see where Ram's at.
So, do you have any idea if Thomas or Lattimore are done for the season if they don't come back this week? Would they come back for just?
Yeah, I think we just play each week out as they go.
What's the message to the team now that you don't control your own destiny anymore?
Well, look, I mean, the message really isn't changing anything in terms of what we have to do. We control what we control, and we got 2 games left against division opponents, and the message is that we need to go out and control those variables, and we need to go get a win this week against Tampa Bay. I mean, that's the message.
And I know you prefer to look at things 1 week at a time, but I mean, what do these last 2 weeks mean for you, for the coaching staff to prove this?
I think for everybody, I mean, when you're in this league, I mean, every time you get an opportunity to take the field, you need to make sure you're taking advantage of it. So we need to go play good football, and we need to get a win, and it starts this week against Tampa.
I don't know how far you've gotten into prep for Tampa going into this week, but just sort of the hot streak a little bit that Baker Mayfield is on at the moment. What have you seen from him?
Yeah, look, I think them as a team, I think they're playing really well. I think they had 4 takeaways in the game, the other day against Jacksonville. I think, offensively, I think over the last month they've run the ball better. So I think they're running the ball effectively. They certainly have a lot of explosive weapons in the passing game. I think the quarterback's playing really well. I think he's, able to throw the ball on time with rhythm and accuracy. And when he's not, he's able to create with his feet. So I think their team is playing well, and they've done that over the last month.
Chris Olave had that kind of rough patch in the middle of the season. Have you seen him kind of bounce back from that?
I think he's done a nice job of bouncing back. I don't know how many 100-yard games it's been that he's had since he's, kind of had that little rough patch. But, I think he just came in every day and went to work, tried to get better. And I think he's done that.
You mentioned that y'all felt that you came out of the game relatively clean last week. Is that still the case now that you've had a couple more days?
Yeah.
Coach, you're 13th in points scored in the league and 9th in points per game allowed, yet you are where you are. Do you have an explanation for that, do you think?
Yeah, no. We just hadn't been able to put all 3 phases together consistently enough. And yeah, that's been, a source of frustration for our football team, because there's been moments where it's looked the way it's supposed to look, and then there's been moments where it hasn't. So I think there's a lot of those statistics that we can kind of go through that, would say that, we've done good things, but we haven't finished, and we haven't won enough. So, and I think all of us understand that, this is a profession, this is a production-based business. I don't think anybody's trying to skirt that. So we've got to do a better job of producing wins.
The numbers say that you should be a lot further along based on just those 2 numbers, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, when you're, in the top half of the league scoring points and in the top 10 and allowing, points, you would expect to win more games. And I think we've got to be able to ultimately finish games out and be able to win games, and that's what it's really about, And so all the stats, none of them really matter except for the one, and that hadn't been good enough.
Is there situational things that you can point to? I know you've studied this stuff ad nauseum. Is there anything that you can point to?
Yeah, well, look, I mean, I think obviously we haven't started games as well as we need to, and we've played, a little bit too much catch up. I think early in games offensively we've been able to move the ball effectively, and then we've stalled out for, a number of reasons, not always the same reason. So I just think it's really been more about, the consistency of our football team over the course of a 60-minute game, being able to execute at a high level.
Have you looked at the scripted plays, the first 15? I mean, is that?
Yeah, look, and when you look at the first 15 plays, I mean, there's been some games where it's, been good, both offensively and defensively, some where it hasn't been, nearly as good. Certainly when you look at, first half scoring, we've given up too many points in the first half of games, and we haven't scored enough. And then we've, kind of been able to flip that script a little bit in the second half, but we certainly need, we need to start out better.
You've matched up with Tampa many times over the years. Is there anything, you mentioned their defense coming up with the 4 turnovers and they've been playing well lately. Is there anything that you noticed from them differently, personnel, or is it pretty much the same with them?
Well, I mean, look, it's different from where they were a year ago. There's personnel changes, there's schematic changes from where they were a year ago. So I'd say it's a different team than what we've played in the past. Still very similar to the team that we played earlier in the year. I think defensively they at times have done a really good job of, stopping the run. They're aggressive in terms of what they do. They play hard, they tackle well. They've got a unique pressure package that creates a lot of stress on the offense. And then I would say, look, offensively, I think they play tough, physical. They play hard. I think the quarterback brings a confidence level to their team, and I think they're playing at a high level, and they're playing confidently.
Kind of brought up their run game being improved in this second. What have you seen what's different there? Right? Why was it struggling early, and why is it different now?
Well, yeah, I think the back's playing well. I think they're doing a good job of blocking in the run game. Certainly some of the looks that they're seeing, trying to take some of the passing game stuff away, they're seeing some light boxes and they're taking advantage of it and running the ball well. They've probably, gotten to a little bit more of, kind of some gap and counter schemes that, I think have been effective for them.
It's like, I know Evans is always a problem. Is the fact that they're running the ball so well, does that make it more?
Makes it more challenging. Yeah. Because, if you have to play all game in a loaded box, and it opens up some things on the outside lanes. They got really good skill players, talented skill players. They take advantage of it. And yet they're running the ball, effectively when they get good looks. So I think they're playing really well offensively.
Coach, why do you think the quarterback's had such an, I don't know, epiphany? I mean, he's like playing like.
It'd be hard for me to be able to answer that question. I don't really know. Certainly, he feels comfortable, in that offense. He's got a lot of weapons around him. He's doing a good job of distributing the ball to those weapons. And like I said, I think their ability to run the football effectively has really helped them over the last month.
I can't remember if you were asked about this, so I apologize if it's a repeat, but after Zach Ballin came on so strong, you guys talked so much about how effective he's been. Why did he only play 9 snaps?
Well, we can get him into a lot of passing situations. So, that was probably more of a product of how the game was being played.
Do you have an indication of how close Kendre Miller was to going this past week?
Well, he was able to get some work in last week. I expect him to get more work in this week. We'll see. We'll see exactly where he's at. Obviously last week without having any real practices was kind of hard to evaluate exactly where he's at. We'll have a better feel for where he's at, this week as we get into practices tomorrow.
And do you feel like Peyton Turner is kind of in that limbo between IR and potentially returning.
Yeah, look, he'll be, he'll get a good opportunity to get some practice reps in this week, and much like Kendre, we'll evaluate where he's at. But yeah, I think he's getting closer.
When you review the defensive performance as a whole, did it feel like any part of it was a one-off, or was part of it that was just a way more explosive offense than you've faced in a long time?
Well, look, I mean, we obviously didn't play as well as we're capable of playing. I think they executed at a high level. They made some plays, and we didn't execute as well as we needed to. So we need to be better this week.
When you guys got to take someone like Alante out, just kind of, what is the coaching process just in the days after that, coming back into this week?
Yeah, there's communication that goes on with him, but there was a level of expectation, and we felt like at that moment in the game it was the right move to make, and yet I still have all the confidence in the world in Alante. I think he'll respond the right way, and look, we'll go through the week of practice and see how everything goes, but I think he'll respond the right way.
Is it safe to say that playoffs for you this week, or?
I think it's safe to say that we need to go out and win this week. You know what I mean? Like that's the only thing that we really control. So any of those other variables, it's in somebody else's hand. But we control how we play this week. So we need to go out and play really well against Tampa. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.